All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and right now we're going to talk about the Hulu original series, limited series, Catch-22, directed by Grant Heslov and George Clooney. And we'll get into spoilers in a little bit, talking about some of this, but this is just my general overall review of these 6 episodes. So let's just jump right in. I never read this. This and Catcher in the Rye are 2 books that I never got around to, and it just became too late. Like, I know enough about them just from a word of mouth that I knew I'd never go back and read them. They are, considered, Catch-22 I heard is considered one of the most important books of our time. But it was one of those books that just kept getting further and further away from me, and I realized that there was no way it was going to live up to the hype in my head, since it took, great literature, maybe, it doesn't need to, it doesn't matter what time period you read it in, but I just knew that something like this would just kind of, I don't know, fall flat on the page for me. But I really wish I had read it, because I didn't know what to expect from this. I didn't see the Orson Welles movie either. I heard that didn't do well. But long story short, I went into this pretty blind, and except knowing Grant Heslov and George Clooney's work and liking it for the most part, most of the time. I really like Confessions of a Dangerous Mind is one of my favorite movies. Good Night and Good Luck is an incredible movie. And what I do like about Clooney's movies and Heslov's movies is they always have got this quirk to them, but they take place in a really unique time period. He tells really interesting stories. He has good ideas that he wants to put out here. And like the Monuments Men, I have, say what you will about it, it's an interesting idea. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind is a cult classic, and Sam Rockwell is amazing in that movie. And, it's about Chuck Barris and whether or not he was a hitman for the CIA. I mean, just really cool ideas, like the Good Night and Good Luck movie, with telling the story of F. Murray Abraham. Nope, that's not right. Telling the story of the guy from Amadeus. Telling the story of oh my God, the reporter. I forget his name now. But the whole thing with the McCarthy era stuff, and doing it in black and white. So I have respect for Clooney and Heslov's ideas and writing style and quirkiness, because there always is kind of like an interesting wit to all of Clooney and Heslov's work. Clooney's in this, and he's pretty good. Kyle Chandler is the real standout to me in this movie, besides Christopher Abbott, who I have everybody's names here in my thing. Kyle Chandler, man, I love him in this. I don't always get why people like Kyle Chandler, but then I see him in things like Game Night or this, and I go, oh, that's why. He's fucking amazing. Christopher Abbott, who plays Yo-Yo in this, Yossarian, I've come to really like this guy. If you haven't seen him in The Sinner, he's really good in that. He was good in the first season of Girls until he pissed off Lena Dunham. And what else has he been in? Oh, It Comes at Night, for the people that actually liked that movie, because some people don't. He was really good in that too. Also, who we have in here? Hugh Laurie's in this. Oh my God, Hugh Laurie has one of the best moments in this movie. But all the younger guys that I really don't know were all really excellent in this. Kevin J. O'Connor, you might remember him as Benny from the Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser. He's always been a really interesting actor, and he's really great here as this kind of another ineffectual guy in this Italian air base. Who else do we have here? Julianne Emery. She's in this. She was in Preacher and Better Call Saul, and she really puts it all out there in this movie. I'm not going to complain. So acting-wise, it's all really, really good, and I can see why they chose to do this as a limited series and not a movie, because unless they had done it, a movie for Hulu, if this had been made into a movie, it would have tanked. just like I heard the original did. But this kind of movie just usually, in my opinion, doesn't do well in theaters. And so this is a perfect way to do it. It's 4.5 hours long. It could have been a movie. I'm glad it's not, but it really could have been. It still could have been a movie like made for. But the fact that they really went all out and made it authentic, went to Italy and did this, used the real B-25 bombers, filmed in old studios that haven't been, the legendary original first studios that ever made movies. And the fact that they really tried to get the whole book in there, even though it's not, since the book isn't like chronological, they tried to make the most coherent story they could. And all the ways that this was made, another triumph. I really dig the way that this was made. So acting, great. The way it was made and the set design and the authenticity of this movie, great. The idea is great. But it's still kind of just, when it was really good, it was really good. And there's the powerful acting, but for some reason, it kind of just ends. And it felt like I had just finished reading a book, the ending of this, kind of this ambiguous ending. And by that I mean, we're going to get into spoilers pretty soon here. So if you haven't seen this movie, or the show, I highly recommend checking it out. For the performances and the writing and the authenticity of all this, it's worth seeing that alone. But, this isn't going to be for everybody still. This reminds me of like how I felt when I saw The Men Who Stare at Goats, another Clooney picture that I don't know if he directed that or not. It just it felt like that. It had the same kind of feeling through that. But other times, this movie was completely absurd and hilarious. And other times, it was really dark and serious, like really serious. And so the balance of tones was really important, and I do think they pulled it off for the most part. But like I said, it was just something when it was over, it was just kind of over. And I know it's probably because I'm processing it, but when I watched the extras from this movie and from the show, and they were talking about the last scene, okay? So let's just get to it again. Spoilers if you haven't seen this. He's back in the in the front of the plane where the bombardier sits, and he's naked. And you're basically supposed to believe that he's either gone, he's gone mad and he's either in that plane or he's in a hospital somewhere going blah, 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 blah. But I don't know if I don't know. I feel like this is one of those movies that I didn't want an ambiguous ending. I wanted a straightforward ending. And maybe that's just how it goes. You don't always get what you want. And so I just need to take it as it is. As far as the story goes, so if you're not familiar with Catch-22, Catch-22 is basically an unanswerable situation. Like it'll drive you crazy. When they describe it in the movie, it makes your head want to explode. In fact, when they talk about it in the movie, and I saw it in the trailer, speaking of which, when they use the line, well, that Catch-22 is one heck of a catch. I was like, oh, oof, woof, what a bad dialogue that was there. But the way they do it in the movie is really good. But the story is Yo-Yo is a bombardier. He just wants to get out of there. And throughout the course of this movie, people around him are dying while he just keeps trying to figure out how to get out of there. And it kind of grated on me because I have a good work ethic, and I've never been to war, so I don't really get to have a say of like what I would or wouldn't do in this character's place. But it just seems to me that if he had just done his job, he'd have been home already. But that's not the point of the book and the point of the story, and about the absurdity of war and the things that they bring up in this movie about the least qualified people are the ones that are going to be in charge. And so there's a lot of satire, there's a lot of parody, there's a lot of just knocks at the way that war is run. There's a great character in here called Milo who sees a niche and fills it by running the black market to just insane degrees of how it starts with just a couple of things, and then he ends up like basically, you know, he becomes mayor of a town. It's just insane. And I don't want to spoil everything, and I don't want to run this too far into the ground, but it's just, if you don't have anything to watch and you're tired of like complaining about Game of Thrones and things like that, this is definitely worth checking out. It really, really is. And I think the more I sit on it, the more I'm going to like it. And I probably will go back to this. I actually kind of want to rewatch this to kind of see some of the things that maybe I missed and maybe get a greater understanding of it now that I know what was going on, and that the book was based on this guy who was a bombardier, or the guy who wrote it was a bombardier back in 1944. And the bombardier stuff is pretty intense. It kind of feels like they're using a lot of the same footage, but I doubt that because of what it took for them to get these B-25s or over there. Was in the story on that alone, like checking that out in the extras, was nuts. But I'm just going to stop talking about it because it really does need to be seen. And I realize that this isn't the most in-depth review I usually do, because I usually do it episode to episode. But in this, it's got some insane moments. It's heartbreaking. It's hilarious. It's tragic. It's a lot of different tones, but it's all balanced really well with a good script, an authentic set, great acting. If you can handle the ending, I think you're going to walk away really happy. So if you like this review for Catch-22, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Let's get us to 1,000 so we can do live streams again. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Review saying have a great day, and we will see you next time.